Hey guys, it is Wednesday, February 25th, or it might be the 26th by now. I'm recording this pretty late. But it is comic review time. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, like last week, I am splitting this week's review into two parts. This part is all the non-DC comic stuff I picked up this week, which is about 4 books. If you want to see my reviews of the DC comics I read this week, please watch part 2 of this video. So, starting with Adventure Time, number 37, we have a new arc, which begins with everybody in the land of Oo forgetting how to make food. And as you can tell, this becomes quite an issue because when you forget how to make food, eventually food runs out, and the Candy Kingdom quickly descends into chaos and rioting as people forget slowly how to, sustain themselves. Meanwhile, Finn and Jake have to kind of keep things under control while Princess Bubblegum finds a solution to this problem. One thing I really liked about this book is we have Finn using his new sword that works entirely on Zelda logic, that when he's at full health, he fires laser beams out of it, but as soon as he takes any damage at all, he loses the ability to shoot lasers, like the Master Sword in Legend of Zelda games, or at least some of the Legend of Zelda games. So I enjoyed that little reference there. One solution the Prince Bubble comes up with is to ask the Ice King for help, and we find out that the Ice King subsists solely on microwavable frozen food, which I think is another really great character detail for him. It just makes a lot of sense that that Ice King would survive on frozen food. Yeah, and that's kind of where we leave off this comic with Finn and Jake in the Ice Kingdom, where they make a discovery about the food thing going on, and the conclusion should come next issue. Although now that I'm trying to remember, I don't think we got a conclusion to the arc started in the last issue, but I can't really remember what it was. Anywho, not that important, I guess. It was still an enjoyable book. We also have the second half of the book, which involves a day in the life of a defeated monster. I like how the shark is clearly holding the Master Sword from Zelda, because they referenced it earlier in the book. Also, I just generally like the art style for this backstory. Very bouncy, very kind of rubbery. I like the color palette too. Very what's the word? I forget the word. Very pastel palette, which I enjoy. And it just follows all the stuff that these monsters go through once they're defeated and are waiting to regenerate from their defeated state. And it's a pretty, it's an enjoyable story. None of the stories this week were really amazing. Not like a lot of big chuckles. I like the character moments with the Ice King and the Zelda references, but nothing that made me really guffaw. So yeah, kind of the standard Adventure Time material you've come to expect from the comic, or at least I've come to expect from the comic so far. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 15, the epilogue to Spider-Verse, last issue of the Spider-Verse story, and it really does kind of wrap everything up really neatly. All the spiders go back to their own worlds to live their own lives. We begin with this spread with Peter Parker saying goodbye to Mayday. They've resolved whatever issues they have had, and the Ben Parker from the story, the Spider-Ben that we met, also goes to Mayday's world and becomes a grandpa, which is kind of sweet. He says he's the first Ben Parker to be a grandpa, which I think is true. I mean, it's it's sweet even if it's not that he becomes this person now because he survived, you know. We then have the main kind of plot of this book, which involves Otto cutting the web of destiny, just tearing it to pieces. As kind of like I can totally sympathize with why you'd want to do this, because that the existence of a web of destiny means that the universe is deterministic, that there is a fate and you can't go against it, that it's sealed. And so discovering this, Otto's like, no, I want to be the master of my own fate. I'm going to destroy the web. And this book involves the rest of the spiders basically stopping him from unraveling the web of destiny and then unraveling, I guess, causality and space-time. Spoiler alert, they end up doing it because it's a superhero comic and you can't let all of space and time and causality and reality be destroyed, even if it does lend itself to a completely deterministic view of existence. But hey, it's just a comic book. We also have an explanation of where spider sense comes from, because the spider avatars use the web, that like they're in tune with the web of destiny. It allows them to read into the future a little bit. I think it's we finally get an explanation to why Spider-Man has some precognitive abilities, and it's because he is the totem of the being that makes fate. Makes a lot of sense, I think, given the mythology. It's really explaining that part, which I think, didn't need explaining, but now that it explains, like, oh, that's really novel. That's a really good explanation for it. And yeah, as an epilogue, it's pretty much just a happy ending for everybody in Spider-Verse, or at least most people in Spider-Verse. Everyone finds a new place in the multiverse where they are useful as a Spider-Man or Spider-Woman. So yeah, I really like the cover too. Just thought I'd mention the kind of mask motif with the portals. Anyway, yeah, again, nothing great. You have some funny moments, some really choice bits of dialogue involving, the spiders ripping off each other. But yeah, just a kind of a good wrap everything up ending set up for a post Spider-Verse Spider-Man, which, if Dan Slott's writing should maintain that quality, which I've enjoyed reading Spider-Man so far. Next up is Spider-Gwen #1, spinning out directly of Spider-Verse, where she was created in Spider-Verse Team Up #2, no, Edge of Spider-Verse #2. This book follows directly from that issue. Well, not directly from that issue, but directly from Spider-Verse. We get a recap of the issue where she was introduced. First page here just reminds us she got the spider powers. The Peter Parker in her universe died, and then she had to fight a baddie and ended up revealing herself to her father, Captain Stacy. This book, like the kind of original Spider-Man stories, her first big supervillain is the Vulture. So I think that's a nice little nod to the original Spidey stories, where his first big supervillain he faced was the Vulture. Also, she's getting back into the swing of things. Again, like classic Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen is labeled a menace by J. Jonah Jameson. People aren't quite sure where she stands, on which side of the law, or which side of ethics, I guess, she stands. And she's also having trouble being part of her band, the Mary Janes. So we have some friend trouble there, her trying to balance the two lives. Very Spider-Man-esque stuff. One thing I really like about this book is the art style. You have bright neon colors, kind of exaggerated motions and movement, and figures. I like the sound effects, the big in-your-face sound effects that cut through. Again, these like bright, powerful neon colors that just cut through the page. But as for the rest of the story, it's something, again, I enjoy, but I don't see the point of it. Seems a bit redundant reading Spider-Gwen and then Silk #1 back to back, and you have kind of the same story of what if Spider-Man were female, and going through all the same kind of beginning kind of formative Spider-Man stories. And I guess it's just because both of them are in their first issue, and I'm sure as these stories diverge, each character will become their own character, and everything will become separate enough. But these first 2 issues were very similar, I feel, in spirit. Of course, they have different art styles for aesthetics, and like I said, there's enough there to differentiate everybody else, or these 2 comics. But I want to see that happen. But I don't want to wait. I want it to just be a fully realized world, and I know that's like selfish and kind of not gonna happen immediately, but that's what I'm really waiting for. And this book, just right after reading Silk, feels a little redundant. Again, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just in context, 2 new things at once, I guess. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, this book definitely has personality, has style, but waiting on the substance, I guess. And the final book for this part of the video is Odyssey, issue #3. As you can probably tell from the cover, brilliant, beautiful art, as always, from Christian Ward. Just very, I guess, psychedelic, bold, saturated colors. I love every page, but I can't show you every page because there is nudity, and I'm afraid of showing nudity on YouTube because reasons. But just brilliant art and color, just everything about this book works visually for me. As for the story, it follows the Odyssey. Right now we're in the part we begin with the birth of Dionysius, and then we have Apollo kind of organizing a rebellion of the gods against Zeus and Poseidon in order to help Odyssea, and she recruits Dionysius to do this. And then we have the parable. Are the chapters the chapter, I guess, of the Odyssey where Odyssea meets the Cyclops, and I can't really show you. I guess I can if I cover up. The Cyclops has lots of breasts, but yeah, again, really good art. Stuff I like. Trying to cover everything up that needs to be covered for YouTube. I wish I could show you. I really do. I wish our country and our culture standards allowed for female nudity. I mean, it's not even female nudity, it's just depictions of female body parts, but, for some reason, not allowed. Anywho, it's Odyssea versus the Cyclops, and we kind of leave off in the middle of that battle. If you read the Odyssey, you know how it ends, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't. And yeah, just really enjoying everything about this book, the art style, the way it's told, the actual, as I've said, I think in the first 2 issues, the way the words are structured, the syntax of the book, that gives it a very unique feel. And just the design of the world and everything. Just if you're interested at all in Odyssey, if you're interested in Greek myth, really, really fun adaptation. I wouldn't miss it. So those are the 4 books I'm reviewing in this part. If you're interested in any of the DC comics that came out this week, watch part 2, which should be uploading after this one. Haven't read them yet. But if you're not, if this is where you say goodbye for this week, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. If you liked the video, please rate it. Any comments, suggestions, any thoughts at all, feel free to leave them below or message me directly. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you watch. Part 2.